الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى، وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. قال الله تعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. ثم أما بعد. All thanks and praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where we seek His help and His forgiveness, and we seek refuge in Allah from the evil within ourselves and the consequences of our evil deeds. Whoever Allah guides can never be led astray, and whoever Allah leads astray can never find guidance. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is His last and final messenger. As we know that we are the ummah in which the Quran was revealed, and the Quran is an extremely big miracle and a blessing. But it's sad and unfortunate that we look over this blessing and this miracle that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought down to our people. This Quran, as I like to give the example, is the human owner's manual, the owner's guide. When you purchase something, it comes with an owner's manual. What to do with it if X, Y, and Z happens. What to do if you run into this problem. What to do if you have this issue. And that Quran of ours that we unfortunately neglect is that guide for us, is that blueprint to life for us. The Quran has a solution to your problems, and this is not me saying it. This is told to us by Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the virtues that come alongside of this Quran are, inshallah, we'll talk about them, but they are beyond your imagination. But someone, and this goes for all aspects of Islam, when someone wants to get the reward of an action, they have to do the action. I cannot sit and say I want the virtue of being of the people of the Quran while not giving the attention that the Quran needs. In order for you to obtain said reward, you have to do the action in which it takes to get to that reward. It's the effort that has to be made by you. The Quran, unfortunately, has become an adornment in our homes. The Quran has become almost a decoration, a'udhu billah, where we neglect it. We don't look at it. We wrap it up in a cloth. We leave it in the corner and it collects dust. This is what the Quran has become for us. Think about it. When was the last time you picked up the Quran? You read the Quran, you felt the Quran, you understood the Quran, you looked at the letters of the Quran, you listened to the Quran. When was the last time you gave the Quran its due rights? When was the last time you had a love for the Quran? When was the last time you picked up and even read the Quran? Are you too occupied with your lives to make time for Allah? Are you too occupied with your lives to read the Human Owner's Manual, as I mentioned? Are you too busy with your lives to get the reward that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions that for the Quran, and this is paraphrasing hadith, when someone reads the Quran, and of course our ultimate goal is to accumulate as many good deeds as we can possibly get, and to get as little sin as we can get, correct? That's our goal. Our goal is to obtain as much reward as possible. And what better way, first and foremost, than the Quran to get that reward? Aside from it being the book in which Allah has told us to read, to protect, to memorize. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us that there is a letter, not for every single page, not for every single line, not for every single word. For every single letter there is 10 reward. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives us the example of alif harf, lam harf, mim harf, where when he was telling the companions about the virtue of the Quran, he mentioned it by prefacing that alif harf is a letter which you get a reward for, lam is a letter which you get a reward for, and mim is a letter in which you get a reward for. So now imagine someone that picks up, forget about reading a chapter, forget about reading a page. How many letters would be in one line, let alone the pages that I mentioned, the surahs that I mentioned? How much reward can you accumulate? When we pray our daily salah, read Surah Al-Fatiha how many times? And every single time that you read Quran, Fatiha, Surah Ikhlas, whatever it is, you get reward for every single letter, 10 reward. Now, do you think, let's be honest, do we sin that much in a day where if we read a whole page of Quran, we have more sin than that? No. But in order for someone to obtain this reward, in order for someone to get this reward, they actually have to pick up the Quran and read it. I cannot sit on my bottom all day on my sofa watching TV and saying, you know what, I'm going to read, one word or one letter and I'm going to get the reward of this. Or even neglecting it completely. I have to pick up the Quran. I have to read the Quran. I have to feel the Quran. I have to understand what I'm reading. And I have to have a love for the Quran in order to obtain said reward. Now, this is for someone who may be fluent. This may be for someone who knows how to read the Quran. They can walk and they can read Quran. They can sit and they can read Quran. They can pick up the Quran and read it fluently. Now, what does the hadith say about someone who struggles? Maybe you don't have that love for the Quran. Maybe you do not have that connection with the Quran. Perhaps you may not have that relation with the Quran due to the fact that you may not be able to read the Quran. And there is no shame in that. I myself am not a native Arabic speaker. A lot of you guys here are not native Arabic speakers. No one just wakes up one day, doesn't speak Arabic, and overnight they learn how to read Arabic. No. There's a process. You have to learn. But what does the hadith tell us about someone who isn't able to have that fluency in reading the Quran? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us it's double the reward for that individual. Double the reward for someone who struggles. So it's reward if you read it. And if you struggle, it's double the reward. Now, what reason do we have to not pick up the Quran and read it? What reason do we have to neglect the Quran? What reason do we have to treat the Quran the way that we do? To completely ignore it, to completely neglect it. You read it, it's reward. If you're struggling reading, it's double the reward. And even the reward in and of itself, the first one for someone who's fluent, is immense, let alone someone who struggles. Allah does not let your actions go unaccounted for. This is the value that comes with the Quran. Now imagine someone that reads Quran day and night, walking, talking, sitting. And I'm going to give an example of a beautiful brother that we lost, Sheikh Abdullah Kamil. May Allah have mercy on him. I had the blessing of traveling with him this Ramadan for most of the 30 days. We went to multiple different states. And I'm giving this example because we, alhamdulillah, we have our eyes. The shaykh could not see. The shaykh would walk around, wallahi, I swear by Allah. Allah sees this. Walking, talking, we were driving, when we were on the plane, all he would do was read Quran to the point, and this is on the lower end of the scale. He had 24 khatmas in the month of Ramadan. 24 khatmas in the month of Ramadan, and only reason why it was 24 not 30 aside from it being 29 days of Ramadan, was the fact that he had a son. May Allah make it easy for him and his family. 24 khatmas in the month of Ramadan. And this is on the lower end of the spectrum. How many of us do one khatma? How many of us even read the Quran, period, in Ramadan? What reason do we have? What excuse do we have? This brother was blind from birth. He learned to read the Quran from Braille. And wallahi, I've never seen, and this is aside the topic, may Allah have mercy on him, I have never seen an individual so inclined to learn. I could talk about him for hours, but my point being, such a big limitation, but yet he still, let alone memorized the Quran, memorized hadith, and fluently recited the Quran in a way that would tremble the hearts of individuals that were listening. And this is someone that has less physical capabilities than us. They're missing a vital sense. They cannot see. They cannot see the letters of the Quran. He said, if I could get my eyesight, I would do two things. I would see my mom's face, I would look at the pages of the Quran. And we have our eyes. We have our eyes and they're functioning, but yet we don't look at the Quran, we don't pick up the Quran, we don't read the Quran. This brother would walk. Wallah, he would be walking. And he was a very funny individual, cracking joke left and right. But the moment Ramadan hit, as we were driving, as we were talking, as we were sitting, if he was not eating, whatever he would be doing, he would be reading Quran. Imagine how much reward someone can accumulate. And I'm not saying this to kind of demotivate you or talk about him. Kind of a little bit talking about him, wallah, I miss him. But the point being that us as individuals, we have our eyes. We have all these things and we can accumulate such reward. Imagine on Yawm al-Qiyamah, when you come in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your sins small, and you see a mountain worth of good deeds. Where did this come from? From you reading the Quran. Every single letter has a reward. If you want to listen to it because you cannot read it, listen to it. Start from somewhere. But someone can only get this reward if they actually pick up the Quran and read it. The Quran will not magically flow into your hands. You're not going to just wake up and have memorized the whole entire Quran. No, you have to make the effort to do it. And you have to pick up the Quran to read it. And you have to establish that bond with the Quran so that way you can be of those that get a reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from alif, harf, lam, harf, mim, harf. So pick up the Quran. Read it. Wallahi, I swear by Allah, this is one of the easiest things you can do to accumulate reward. This is our path to life. This is our blueprint to life. Pick it up, understand it, and wallahi, you will see the blessings that come in your life. And that's aside, and this is simply the reward. There is the virtues that come with those of Ahlul Quran, inshallah, which we'll talk about in the second half. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those that memorize the Quran. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those that accumulate reward for every single letter. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept all of our actions. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah, ma ba'd. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said in a hadith to the companions, it was said that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that Allah has His people amongst mankind. Allah has His people amongst mankind. The companions asked him, who are these individuals? And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned three individuals. The people of the Quran, the people of Allah, and those closest to Him. Now, of course, the individual that we're going to talk about is that who is of the Quran. First and foremost, and this goes for all actions, and I will talk about this every single chance that I get, we have to be sincere to Allah. Every single thing that you do, the Ahlul Quran, the people of the Quran, are not that individual that wants to read the Quran to impress others, that wants to read the Quran to become famous, that wants to read the Quran for X, Y, and Z reasons, that has ill intent, that does not have intent for Allah. First and foremost, to be of that individual or that category or any action, for your action to be accepted, has to be done for the sake of Allah. Let's just get that out of the way first and foremost. The most important point. And there's another topic or another issue that I want to talk about or address perhaps. Unfortunately, we go to other means when we have some sort of issue. Perhaps this individual, that individual, this method, that method, whatever it be. The Quran, if someone picks it up and reads it, can see that there is a simple cure. Oftentimes we will feel like we are lost. Oftentimes our hearts will feel annoyed or irritated. Our hearts will not feel at ease. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells in the Quran, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَتَطْمَئِنَّ قُلُوبُهُم بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. And this is the part I want you guys to focus on. أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تطمئن القلوب. Verily, in the remembrance of Allah, do hearts find ease, content, peace. Now, of course, reading the Quran is the remembrance of Allah. It's the words of Allah that you are reading. When you read it for the sake of Allah, to remember Allah, to please Allah, your heart will automatically be at ease. Now, this is reading the Quran, listening to the Quran, whatever it is, your heart will find ease in the remembrance of Allah. And what better way to remember Allah than to read the words of Allah? Now, we've talked about reward. We've talked about ease at hearts. We've talked about all the reward that comes with reading Quran. And just look at the way the Ahlul Quran are treated, the people of the Quran. Another example of Shaykh Abdullah, people who flock to come see him, to hear him. This virtue comes with someone who is sincere to the Quran and to Allah. And the Quran can be an intercessor for you on Yawm al-Qiyamah as well. Now we've talked about that which is in the dunya. We've talked about the reward in this dunya. We've talked about the scales. We've talked about ease of heart. But what about Yawm al-Qiyamah? Forget about Yawm al-Qiyamah from the grave. The Quran can be an intercessor for you. It said if you read Surah Al-Mulk, it will intercess for you on Yawm al-Qiyamah. You read the surah, it intercesses for you in the grave. You read the surah, it intercesses for you in this matter. And for someone that doesn't know what intercede means to protect you from punishment. It will be a witness for you. Ya Allah, the Quran will speak. This individual used to read me on the dunya. This individual used to recite me. This individual used to actually give attention to the Quran, protect them from that punishment. The Quran will be a witness for you. The Quran will be a witness for you on Yawm al-Qiyamah. And this is a day of extreme severity. And a day of extreme punishment. And the Quran, Kalam Allah will intercede for you. What more could you ask for? And may Allah grant us all Jannah. The hadith is mentioned that it will be said, and to be said in English and paraphrase, that the individual who memorizes the Quran, Allah will tell them, then there will be a staircase. And Allah will say, read the way you used to read in dunya, and where they stop will be their place in Jannah. That staircase represents their place, or the Jannah. Starting off will be, the lowest level of Jannah, and they keep reading and reading, and as they read, they will keep going up and up on that staircase until it comes to a point where they stop. Now, whoever has memorized the entire Quran will stop at Surah An-Nas. Nas representing the highest level of Jannah, being Jannah al-Firdaus. May Allah grant us all that. Say Ameen. This is the virtue of the Quran. When there will be individuals rotting in the hellfire, when there will be individuals that are burning in the hellfire, their skin receptors, and this is another beauty of the Quran as well, predicting things 1400 years ago, when there was no science, no technology, no nothing. The Quran tells us that our skin has pain receptors. And this is a recent discovery from scientists. Back then when they had no technology. But aside from the point, when individuals will have their pain receptors burned off and their skin will be replaced. Their skin will be replaced so that way they can feel the pain again. Because when your pain receptors burn, you do not have a sense of pain. When they burn, khalas, you don't feel anything. But your skin will be replaced. May Allah protect us from this. Their skin will be replaced so they can feel that pain again. There will be individuals in that situation, and there will be those of the Quran that are going to be walking up the staircase, deciding their place in Jannah. Walking up the staircase of Jannah, reading Quran, and where they stop is their place in Jannah. This is the two ends of the spectrum. Now the choice can be yours. If you dedicate time to the Quran, if you read the Quran, if you give your effort to the Quran, memorizing the Quran, you could be of that individual that's going up that staircase. Or someone that can neglect it and be on the other end of the spectrum. You see the reward in the dunya. You see the reward in the grave. You see the reward. You see the reward in Yawm al-Qiyamah. And for those that want to memorize the Quran, memorize the Quran. The reward for the parents as well. They'll be given crowns with gems brighter than the sun, with jewels brighter than the sun. This is the reward for someone who memorizes the Quran. And even before memorizing, not everyone has to be a hafidh or has to be this or has to be that. The point being, this is the virtue that comes with the Quran. Do not think that, if I don't memorize the entire Quran, I won't be getting any reward. No. This is simply a taste for what is to come for those that love the Quran, that have even the intent to memorize the Quran. When you attach yourself with the Quran, this is the virtue that comes with it. And inshallah, I want to end off on this one last statement. I heard this statement somewhere, and wallahi, it sat with me and it shook me a little bit to my core. When you think about how special the Quran is, what happened to the angel who brought down the Quran? Jibreel alayhi salam. What happened to him? He became, who was he rather? The chief of the angels. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a prophet in which the Quran was revealed to, or who to the Quran was revealed to. The ummah that the Quran was revealed to is us. The month in which the Quran was revealed is Ramadan. Take a look at Angel Jibreel alayhi salam. The Quran was the one that brought down the Quran, became the best of angels. The Prophet to which the Quran was brought became the best of prophets. The people to which the Quran was brought became the best of people. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس. The people to which the Quran came became the best of people. The month in which Ramadan came, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن, became the best of months. So do you not think that the individual who has the Quran in his heart, the individual who has the Quran, do not think that he will become the best of people? The angel who brought down the Quran became the best of angels. The Prophet became the best of prophets. The Ummah became the best of Ummah. The month became the best of months. And to end it off, there's a hadith where Rasulullah says, خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَهُ. The best of you are those that learn the Quran and teach it. So do not think that the individual who surrounds himself with Quran, who listens to the Quran, who reads the Quran, who gives the Quran its proper value, the one who embodies himself with the Quran, do you not think that that individual will not become the best of people? So if you want to obtain all this reward, if you want to obtain all this virtue, if you want to obtain all the reward that comes with the Quran, all the virtues that come with the Quran, all of these things that I mentioned and more, go home, pick up the Quran. On your way to work, wherever it is that you're going after, listen to the Quran. For wallahi, I swear by Allah, not only will it benefit you in this dunya, but most importantly, and this is our ultimate goal, it will benefit you in the akhirah, and that is our ultimate plan to get into Jannat al-Firdaus. If you want reward for every single letter, pick up and read the Quran and actually read those letters. Surround yourself with those of the Quran. Come to the masajid, attend the halaqah. Simple as that. Wallahi, you guys have a beautiful resource here. To come simply read the Quran, to learn the Quran. Wallahi, I swear by Allah, not only will it change your life in this dunya, your heart will be at ease, your life will be at ease. You'll see all the rizq coming in from Allah. Everything will fall into place. And most importantly, you will be protected from the punishment, and you'll be of those that are granted Jannat al-Firdaus. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to be of those that are granted Jannat al-Firdaus. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those that memorize the Quran, that protect the Quran. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to put the Quran, to allow us to have the Quran in our hearts. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow the Quran to be in our generations to come. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, most importantly, to grant our families and our loved ones Jannat al-Firdaus, to unite us with them in Jannat al-Firdaus. And I want to end off again, one lesson from Shaykh Abdullah that I learned. Wallahi, there is nothing more important than the Quran. I cannot emphasize this enough. The attention that he gave to the Quran, the inclination that he had to learn more. We as humans, we tend to get comfortable. We get comfortable when I learn something or I learned half the Quran, khalas, that's it. I'm a big shot now, that's it. I'm done. I gotta lead Tarawih everywhere in New Jersey. No. You have to learn more and more and more. The Quran is a lifelong journey. The Quran doesn't end simply at memorizing. The real memorization starts when someone has completed its memorization. Quran is a lifetime journey. So do not get comfortable. Have an inclination to learn more and more. This is our responsibility as Muslims, to learn about our deen, especially in a country that we live in right now. Shaykh Abdullah, may Allah have mercy on him, was very inclined to do da'wah in this country simply because of the state of this country, or the state of the deen of Muslims in this country. So learn Islam, so that way you can spread Islam, you can show the true beauty of Islam, and most importantly, keep learning, whether it's Quran, whether it's about Islam, whatever it is about. Learn, 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 learn. And inshallah, you will see the beauty in your religion, which will make you more inclined to learn about our religion, which will make you more inclined to practice it. When you understand the reward that comes with certain things, that makes you more inclined to do it. If I tell you, read the Quran because Allah told you, yes, some of you guys will read the Quran, but a lot of you won't. But when I tell you, it comes with this reward, it comes with this virtue, it comes with this and this and that, you'll be more inclined because there is incentives there. Incentivization is one of the most important things. So if you want to love the Quran, if you want to love Islam, learn about it. This is one of the most important things that I can give you guys. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those that learn Islam, that learn the deen. And most importantly, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us in the Firdaus. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. سبحانك الله وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك وأتوب إليك. وأقم الصلاة.